What profession were you in before you decided to pursue a career in occupational therapy?
Well, I was working as an occupational therapy assistant for many years before I joined this program. Um, so prior to that, I had just kind of worked in restaurants and things like that, but then about 10 years ago, I entered in the OTA program, and I was a CODA up until this year where I've returned to school for my OTD.
How did you find out about occupational therapy?
Well, one summer to make extra money, I got a job at a veterans nursing home in my hometown, and I worked under the activity therapy department, and I just loved it, loved it, loved it. I had no experience with healthcare at all, um, or populations with disabilities at all, and I just fell in love with it. So at the time, I was going to school for criminal justice, and as soon as my summer job was done, I went back, looked at the catalog at the community college I was going to, and found that OTA was very much a close fit to what I had been doing during the summer. So that's how I learned about it. I'd never heard of it before, so.
Why did you choose to go into occupational therapy?
Probably for the clientele. That's when I began my love for the elderly populations and people with chronic disabilities. So um, I would say that was probably the main drive. I didn't know specifics about OT, and really I didn't know that OT was so multifaceted at that time. Um, and then after the first couple courses, when I was learning about the complexity of it, it just made me kind of fall in love with it even more. So.
What area of occupational therapy practice interests you the most?
Geriatrics, Alzheimer's, dementia. That's kind of where I have been practicing. I worked for a few years in inpatient psychiatric hospitals, which I loved, with severe persistent mental ill. But I think I plan on kind of continuing the route of the dementia care side. So it's my true love.
Do you have any advice for prospective occupational therapy students?
Um, my advice would be to shadow everywhere as much as you can. Look at all the different places that we can go, see how complex this field is, because you might not necessarily fit in one area, but you will love another area. It's just such a wonderful field for someone who's creative and who's dedicated to one type of population. So just shadow as much as you can and get a lot of experience, and then make your decision if you think OT is for you. So
What are you most excited about in starting your career in occupational therapy?
I think I'm at a different phase where I had been when I went to CODA school. Um, then I was just excited to get out and use some of this practical knowledge. But what I'm excited about now, and I hope that my career goes, is for a track of education, especially clinical education. I've done some work in that area, and I just love it when practitioners just kind of get the light bulb come on with what in my past when I worked with people with cognitive disabilities. So um, I think that's kind of where my career will head, and I'm excited to get out and do that, and then tie it in, of course, with clinical care too. So
What unique characteristics will you bring to a career as an occupational therapist?
I think I bring fun to my when I worked in nursing homes, because often it's very rigid, and people are very concerned with just getting the work done, and which is of course why they're there in therapy at the time. But I usually bring an element of fun to kind of relax the environment and to make them feel comfortable and not seem like it's such a terrible time in their life. So hopefully, of course, that will carry over wherever I go.